All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Pixologic stream with me, Ian, aka Sculpts. How you guys doing? Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Happy Sunday. What is happening? Before we get too started with our day in the life of what it is I do, I'm just kidding. We're gonna go ahead real quick and just want to announce you guys make sure to know that the ZBrush Summit is coming very soon. Quick, fast, and in a hurry, aka the 23rd through the 26th, which is next week. So if you guys are participating in the Sculpt Off, make sure you have your ideas fully fleshed. I'm still working on mine specifically, so you know, don't be like me. Don't be too far behind. What's up, Casey? Hello, hello. So ZBrush Summit that's coming. You still have time to register. Click that little button. So summit.pixologic.com. Go ahead, check it on out. And also, too, for some really fun stuff is happening. If you go over to the presentations, something really cool is going on. And as soon as it loads, you know, you guys know Saturday is the Sculpt Off, and then Sunday we're actually ZBrush live streaming challenges are happening. So I'm paired up with a small little team right here of some really talented artists, Anna and Luke and Mike and Daniel. We're gonna be sculpting. It's going to be awesome. And that's going to happen every day. So that's going to happen Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So you guys are going to want to check that out too. So go check all that stuff out. Let's get into it. Hey there, Monday for me, Monday for you. Yeah. What's up, Eric? How you doing? A while the chat. I don't know if it's my age is starting to show up. I need to blow the chat up just a little bit more. There we go. There we go. Okay, guys. So let's recap what we did last week. And then we'll go from there. So last week we started getting in a little bit more details, and if you guys are new to my streams, I basically showcase my entire process throughout the entirety of the process. I don't do too much off-site, just so you guys can kind of follow along and also to just see how long something complex or in this case, you know, just overly detailed and two characters can take. So we basically blocked out the box. We got more of her kimono brought in here. We're going to start getting into some of the actual wrinkle anatomy. We're going to start focusing in on, like, really start placing this so that right now it just looks like things are floating. It doesn't really look good yet. That's what we need to do, start making things look good and start finalizing decisions. So there's a lot to do. I actually want to tweak the pose a little bit too. I'm noticing just some little subtleties that just don't sit right with me. So never be afraid to go back and tweak that stuff. So before we go too far into it, let's actually start there. So I'm going to go up to Z plugin, and we're going to go to Subtool Master. Nope. Sorry. Transpose Master and Depose Master. Also, too, you guys can ask questions if you have a ton of questions. If you have any questions about anything Pixologic related, or just want to stop by and tell me what's good in your life, feel free to do so. All right. So, get into this. Noticing just some weird little movements with the cloth of it. So we're gonna correct some of that. Take the move brush here. But once you get to this part of the project, typically things start slowing down. At least for me, because I start making sure that everything looks the way it should. But this is also that time to just, before you start getting into details, make sure that everything is the way you would like it to be, because ultimately it's going to be final. So I want to make sure that it's looking right, because once you start really detailing and you start noticing imperfections, that's when you'll get yourself caught up a bit. You don't want to do that, so not if you can help it. Everybody ready for the ZBrush sculpt off? Anybody have their ideas fully worked out? Okay, blade's pointing away from him. That's always a good thing. I don't know if I want to actually angle that a bit more. Yeah. Get that. Go. One of those spots where gotta make sure that looks right. There we go. A little bit more aggressive. Okay. Yeah, it's really crossed over that way. Good. All right, I think that'll work. Let's check her out real quick. Make sure that that's working the way we want it to. I don't really see any errors there. Okay. Let's go ahead and send it back. So we're going to go back to Z plugin and hit T-pose sub T, which will send it back to our main. We'll see all the little changes happening. Also, too, let me know if you guys can hear the music. I always have a little bit of pretzel rocks going on in the background, so that way it's not just my voice you hear. All right. Gonna get my glove. I like having one. Sometimes I run a Cintiq, and sometimes the monitor gets a little hot, so you can hear it nice. What's up, Metal Gear? How you doing? Okay. All right, that gets sent back. So just a little bit of a change, a little tweak. I think that looks a lot better. So we're going to go ahead and save that. So let's do it. All right. Now let's start focusing on a lot of the cloth detail itself. And what I typically do is I'll open up a Google web browser. I don't mind showcasing this. And then I just like to type in like cloth anatomy spell. And I like to look up just different sketches and types of wrinkles and folds, just so I get a good idea of how I want to approach it. Stuff like this is really, really helpful. The X, Y, and Z and diamond shapes are always really helpful. Those are compression folds and deformation folds, and so we want to pay attention to stuff like that. So I'm gonna have my little reference up here. That way I can always just kind of go through and see if it's working. Doing all right. Woke up 6 hours early, so yeah, nice, man, nice. Well, happy to have you here. Good morning. All right. So let's start with his jacket, and just to make life a little easier, I'm gonna turn off Nezuko, so that way we only have him to deal with, and we'll start making some magic happen. And for cloth wrinkles, I just like to use the standard brush. You can use other brushes. I have SK brushes as well that I've used before, but creating just with a typical standard brush, you can get some really good results pretty quickly. Make some small modifications. Okay. Actually focus on alpha. Let's get an alpha. I'm gonna subdivide a few times. Now, if you guys can see that, it's a little small, so let's go to render, preview AO. Let's turn that up. Yep. And I'll lay down. Now, I'm still working with single side geometry at the moment. That's all we really need. Hold up, he's not crying in this rendition. He's always crying. Yep, not this time. He's not crying this time. Maybe give me a couple minutes and we can make that happen. I know he has a box on him right now, but I like to kind of lay out my folds. If there wasn't something there, then correct. Compare to my reference. What's really cool about working with subdivisions is, of course, you could step down a little bit, step up, and then you can kind of smooth that as according. Let me actually get my pure ref up as well, because a lot of times reference will give you a good amount of stuff. All right, Demon Slayer. See, you're an XYZ cloth sculpt. Definitely my favorite way to think about making cloth. Yep, that is me. Absolutely. Yeah, can we expect a new version of ZBrush? The ZBrush Summit? No, nothing, Jon Snow. Up a little bit. Pretty sure 2021 has been out for 10 months at this point. Feels like 2021's been out a while now. ZBrush gets a new release every year, right? ZBrush is pretty good about that as far as I'm aware, yeah. Seems like every year they have it, but we'll have to see, guys. We'll have to see. I'm excited either way. That's why you should come to the summit. Find out. Back on. Start seeing our results a little bit and correct the areas that we need to do. Also going to start with some of the sleeves. I'm not going to go too bold too quickly. Start getting that stuff in there. Especially since here we're going to have some tension applied. Hey, what's up, Alex? Long time no see. How you doing? Yeah, doing really good, man. How are you doing? Thanks for asking. Doing my thing. Good day. You guys getting ready for... Who here is doing the sculpt off, actually? I'm more curious about that. And if you are doing the sculpt off, have you guys figured out your stuff yet? Reimagine. That is the challenge. I'm gonna do a nice big wrinkle right here. Gonna make a big impression fold. It's smooth. Back. I like to get a little sloppy with my cloth, because I just try to kind of get the forms in there, and then I step down and clean it up. So probably gonna look sloppy for a bit, but we'll get it there. Sometimes I'll even use the clay brush, especially on lower stuff. I'm fine too, thanks. I'm hyped about next week's summit and everything. I know, man. Giving the piece out of stream? Wait, what do you mean? Giving the piece out of stream? Am I giving this piece out the stream? No, I'm not giving this piece out of the stream. Hey, what's up, Hannibal? How you doing, man? If I had more confidence time, I would be getting into streaming. I would get into streaming my work. Ooh, nice. Well, you're here, Blitz, so I'm gonna try to nudge you. All right, we'll come back to that side. I like to build up everything a little even. I try. Go back to my standard brush. You work out in the... Hold on. You work in the piece out of the stream. Oh, do I work... Sorry. Maybe I'm just... I feel like I'm missing you a little bit, Juan. If you work in the piece out of the... Oh, do I... No, I don't work on this piece off the stream, typically. Not for this project. So, before I would start a project here, then I would refine it off stream, and I bring it back and explain what I did. This entire piece I've been doing from start to finish on stream because I wanted to showcase the entire series. And so it's taking me a little bit longer to complete it, but you guys get to go back throughout all of the processes and kind of see everything. Now, there was a couple times where I had said, okay, this is how I'm correcting the head or correcting, what's going on. And then I said, oh, I was going to fix this off stream just because it would take way too long. Like, I don't want to spend 2-3 streams correcting something. I give you basically the general idea, and then we go from there. So for the most part, everything's been on stream, but there's been like 1 or 2 things that have been off stream. And yeah, sorry, that's me, man. That's me. No, you are good. You start from scratch or base mesh. So it depends on the project. Something this big, I started with a base mesh just because I wanted to get straight into sculpting. But I definitely will start certain projects from scratch. If it's a humanoid character, I'll start from a base mesh more these days, just because it's a little bit easier to get started. But every once in a while, I'll get a wild bug, and I'll just want to do everything from scratch. It's hard when you do this for a living too, 9 to 5er, because you just want to get into sculpting, and sometimes working on something from scratch is just a little bit more tedious to get to the fun part. Because blocking out a character, that could take time, and don't always have it. Yeah, it just depends. What I do recommend is if you're pretty good, or if you're pretty good with anatomy and you know it really well and you've practiced blocking out and getting volumes, I'd say it's good to start from a base mesh once in a while. But if you're still really like in the early stage of learning, it's really good to block everything out, because then you'll have a better understanding of how form's proportion should be, and once you get that part down, then it's a little bit easier to work from a mesh. Okay. I'm being very loose and kind of rough with these wrinkles at the moment. I just want the general idea right now. I don't want full detail. Hey Hannibal, you reached out earlier. Do you still have a question? Not to put you up on the spot. Alright, I'm going to take the clay buildup real quick. So sometimes the clay buildup is really good to get some cloth lines brought up. What you really want to pay attention to is just the flow of everything. Really just make sure that it makes sense. Getting that anatomy down. Yeah, question about how to approach floating cloth. Sent the sculpts and ref to your Discord. Okay, cool. Hop on over there real quick. All right. Let's see here. Wonder if it's possible. Best way. Best way. Doing a comic. Ah. And not versed in clothing. Certainly not enough to fake it to create a floating here. 1 second. Okay. So just to confirm, we're talking about this piece right here at the kind of top, the top left handle. What's really cool about this cloth here is there's a few dynamic tricks that you can do in order to get something like this. So I can demonstrate the way to approach it, and then you could finish it from there. So, okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me show you on a. Let me save this and let me show you on a different piece. So let's just go ahead and load up the base mesh. We're going to load up the female base mesh for this. Okay. So the cool thing about cloth and the way you can approach floating cloth, anything that looks like it's kind of floating up from any direction, is basically you're just going to change the gravity of your cloth. So we have our female character here. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert... I like to work with planes when it comes to cloth. I really recommend, if you're not, to either work with a plane or work with single-sided geometry by doing your whole mass extract method. But for this, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a really quick way to get what you're looking for. Okay. So I have my cloth. I just kind of shrunk it to be what I want. I'm going to put it under her arm because I'm going to want it coming from her arm. Just so we know, you know? And then what we can do... let's get a different color so you guys can see this. I feel like it's dark. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to want to do is actually have this cloth kind of floating up her arm, right? So the easiest way to do this is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to open up dynamics. We're going to pop this over here, okay? And there's something that's really cool I want you guys to see, which is gravity and set gravity, okay? When ZBrush, when you load up ZBrush and you just have gravity, and you go ahead and let's just go ahead and drop that gravity strength down a little bit, right? And we set our collision volume. Once we go ahead and say run simulation, that cloth is just going to fall, right? And it's not going to really do anything. So we can hit escape and control Z. But what we want to do is actually set that direction. So just take your model and flip it upside down and say set direction. Okay? Then what's going to happen is I'm going to angle this up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and say run simulation. And now that cloth is going to go up because we set that direction now to be in that opposite area. Okay, go ahead and hit escape. And now we have this piece of clothing that is now kind of up in this direction. And then I would just end up correcting it at this point where I would open up my brush palette, hit T, and then pick the transpose cloth. And then now I would go ahead and move this around using the transpose cloth brush. Say I want to make this a little bit better. Let's go ahead and mask this off. I'm going to go ahead and kind of push that back a little bit. Turn on double, just so we can see what's going on. So we're going to go to display properties, turn on double. Invert that a little bit. There we go. So now we have this so that it looks like it's going upwards. That's probably the best way, in my opinion, to approach it. Hopefully that... Let me know if that answers your question, Hannibal. But that's how I would approach it. Just get that. Same with a dress, too, you know? Like, if we wanted to give her a dress, right? And we wanted that dress kind of flowing in a different direction. Let's go ahead and just, real fast, let's create a insert cylinder. Okay, so we have our cylinder right here. I'm going to go to geometry, edge loop, and just delete loops. That way we just have a single thing right here. let's actually change back to our standard transpose. Fill this out for a second. And now we're going to want to go ahead and just do group by normals. And let's go ahead and pick our select lasso. And let's delete the top and bottom. Come on. You hit him? Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Wants to be difficult. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and let's shape this as a quote dress would be real quick. Bring that down just so we have something. Bring this up. And let's put some edge loops on here. Right? Now let's say we want this dress kind of floating back a little bit. You know, we want it to kind of flow backwards just a bit. We do the same thing. We come in here. Right? We would set direction, and now we would go ahead and run that simulation. And now that dress can flow backwards a little bit. Then we can correct what we need. Go. So we can have that. So it's just really using cloth dynamics and setting the direction. And so that will give you all sorts of different effects. And when you have it coming up like this, just make sure to reset the direction when you want stuff to fall down or anything else like that. So hopefully that really helped you out there, Hannibal. But I can elaborate a bit more if you'd like to, or show you another example. But that's pretty much the way I think would be the best way for you. And the pick, it looks like the piece is floating up, around, and down. Do I achieve that by using mask? Yeah, you could achieve that by using mask. So what I would recommend is when you have something like this, what you could do is, yeah, you can have two pieces. You can have one piece stretched across, and then you can create a mask, and then we could go from there. So same difference, just get your plane. Right, we'll just go ahead and get our plane 3D here. Go ahead and shrink that down a little bit, right? So what you want to do is just set up the start and end points. So let's say we want the start and end point to be, yeah, right about there. Kind of shrink that down just right there. So let's say we want this drooping down from this area. All right. What we could do from here is we can mask out where we want the droop to occur. Maybe let's say right about here. All right. And then what we'll do is we'll actually go back to dynamics, set direction, and then we're going to turn on masked, which is right up here. That on masked means that anything that's masked is going to move. Anything that's unmasked is not going to move. Okay. And then what I like to do is set up self collision a little bit. You can turn it like down and recalculate that scene. So now we have a masked function, and when I hit run simulation, you know, that's going to start drooping down. We can even edit this a bit. Let's actually, you can actually hit Y on the keyboard for a second. Come across this way. You guys have seen me do this before, where you take your transpose, hold Y, hold Alt in the middle, and kind of pull this down. Right, so we have this kind of bit here. We hit Y again. We could center that, scale it in. But what we could do is come back in here, go ahead and hit masked. Really set that direction so we get from point A to point B. Recalculate it. Maybe bring that gravity up a bit. And then run that simulation. And then just nudge it. Get it going right where you want it to be. You'll have to tweak it a little bit. It won't be like a one set you know, kind of, you know, it won't be like, oh, that's it, I'll just set it there and then drape it. But you can get it pretty close to what you want it to be. And this is how I would approach it. And just kind of move it around. Even maybe grab here, invert that, soften that a bit. And you could just kind of pull that down. Let's turn on double. Oop. So if you want it to be one piece, you could do something like this. That should get you pretty close to what you would like. And then from there, just kind of finesse it the rest of the way. You could take the curved plane brush, draw the shape first, then use some of the cloth brushes to get the shape right, pinch the simulation turned on, and it's a great option for this. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Best thing about ZBrush is like 100 ways to do it. There's also two, speaking of, curved plane brushes, there are some curved flat snap and curved flat brushes now that have these giant, you know, ideally like hair cards. You know, you could start here, kind of root this around and do something like that maybe. You could kind of position this wherever you think you would need it. You know, it might take a little bit more finessing, but that could be something that you could do as well. You could simulate a pattern like this, like Marvelous in Z. Yeah. If there's anything you think I need to address, off stream. Oh, sorry, hold on, I read that. I comment. Okay, nice. I'll give this a try. Off stream, do let me know. I think this is pretty much all you would need to do. Can you simulate pattern like Marvelous in Z? You could get pretty close with dynamics. The simulation, like kind of what I did here. Yeah, you can get pretty close. I mean, Marvelous is you know, designed for cloth and cloth alone. So there are aspects to that program that are designed specifically because it's specialized. But here in ZBrush with the dynamics, you can get really close to getting some of those effects. So yeah. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Do you have any other questions about the handle? I really wanted to tackle this one, so I'm glad you showed up, buddy. What's the thing? So, but yeah, that's how I'd approach it in ZBrush. Again, it's just all the results you're trying to get. With dynamics in a plane, you can get pretty far. But there's also tons of brushes that you could work with, especially with the cloth twist, cloth wind. Anytime you have something like this, you can kind of get things flowing really easily. Just so much you could do with here, and then just adjust. But yeah. All right. Let's go and load up our project. Gonna help, thank you. And I meant if you have any suggestions of the sculpt itself, I'm all ears. Oh, no, so far keep going, man. You're still in the blockout phase. I never like giving too much feedback. You're still working it out right now. When it's done, if you would like feedback, go ahead and send it to me once you're completely done, and I'll do a once over for sure. But I try not to give unsolicited critiques or feedback when I see that you're in the middle of a process, because I don't know where your head's at. I don't know what you're trying to achieve just quite yet. So once you get to a place that you really like the sculpt and you're like, okay, I think this is really good, feel free, yeah, send it to me, tag me in it, and I could take a once over and give you some pointers of if there's anything I see. So far, it's looking really good, man. So seriously, good job. Guys, I have a lot of cape sculpts coming. Nice, man, nice. Yeah. Believe you me, man. Cloth is a lot of fun. I'm still learning a lot with cloth. I've been doing cloth a lot over the last couple of years, and I still feel like there's still so much to learn. Because this the quote anatomy structure of cloth is so unique, you know? So tons of reference, and then yeah, just little, you know, try different things. But it's looking good, man. Gonna this in a little bit, give it a little bit of shape as it would kind of hug this part of his arm pretty well. This would come up. Even here, like the way I'm approaching this is more of a sculptural way of doing it. I want full control of each wrinkle, so I'm purposely putting in each one by hand. But it's all in how you want to do it. Can you export cloth sims as MDD files? No, I don't think so. But I would say if you needed to export anything into another program, I would use an FBX or an OBJ. FBX is kind of like the PDF. It's very universal, really good way to go. So if you wanted to export anything like that, I would recommend doing FBX. So just hit export, come down, and FBX. But as you can see here, there's OBJ, there's GOZ files, there's Maya, 3MF, Web 3D, never use that, FBX, STL, but I would just use FBX, personally. I use it all the time at work, and guys love it there. But I think an MDD file is very program specific, if I'm not mistaken. Gonna get a little bit of a kind of a bunch here. Want this to kind of curve in. Gonna get that overlapping a bit. You make the Tanjiro face in the last stream. I lost the process. I think it was 2 streams ago. Yeah, I think it was about 2 streams ago. I think it was 2 streams ago. I think what I did was, I think for that one, I had done Nezuko's face first, and even I lost the process. Sorry. I think it's about 2 streams ago. So go back 2 streams, and that's probably about it. I know I finessed the face off stream a little bit, as I mentioned before, but I could show you how I can show you the steps in which I took to get this face going, because there was a lot of little love there. There's a few methods I'm actually playing with. For me, faces take a while. I like to spend a lot of time on faces. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, this nice little compressions. Well, more like a tension spot, not a compression spot. This right in here where a lot of that stress is going to be because of the strap on his pack. So we want to make sure that we clearly kind of note that there's tension there. Unfortunately, digital world, you have to manually place all those. We got to make sure that it looks like it's pressed against. What's up, MJ? Ready for the Sculpt Off, everyone? Yes! Who's participating on Sculpt Off from here? I am. I'll be there. MJ, yay! MJ will be there. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good, guys. You're gonna want to be there. Not only are we doing the sculpt off, but then there's some presentations happening. I'll be part of that, which will be fun. Really excited. Okay, do this part right here. We need to push this properly up and in. Oh, it looks like it's part of that. That's super important. All right, we're gonna go ahead and save. I'll be watching. Ooh boy. Yeah, Alex. You come in and critique me as I'm working. Everybody can come in and say, "What is he doing? What is happening?" I won't mind at all. Especially since Bradley from Stylist League, shout out, heck yeah, has wished that I win it. Oh, guess I gotta show up and win. Dude, you absolutely have to. Do I know if the Keyshot Bridge goes on sale for the summit? I have no idea. They don't tell me anything. I have no idea what is planned. That's all handled there. The only thing I know is everything you know, whatever is announced. So, yeah, I have no idea what's in store. But I know if you show up, I mean, there's tons of stuff that they're doing. It's amazing. I'm just looking to break symmetry on the arms of that sculpt, then create the background and a frame, then render. Maybe texture. Nice. Go for a comic true version, then bring it to life. Nice, dude. Nice. I'm looking forward to it, man. What I'm going to do is drop subdivision a little bit. Did that thing again. I'm going to go kind of big. This wrinkle here, get this kind of Y wrinkle happening here. Get that blended in. The wrinkles do connect to each other. So you can really come in here and start pushing a lot of that. I drop a subdivision? Oh, I need to go up a subdivision. Let's go solo real quick. So you can get like a little V shape here. You can even get a little bit of a diamond shape happening right where it tucks. Really just showcase types of folds that fall over themselves. What I like to do too is I like to pull away and see if it even makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, then I go back in and correct it. You know, I want to, you know, it's that whole good from far but far from good type thing. Wrinkles connect to each other. From Mary King. That's right. Yeah, the best reference you guys have too is, I mean, like, you know, I always Google everything, but you know, check this out. I'm gonna go full screen and scare some of you guys, but you know, if you have a long sleeve shirt and you're doing long sleeve stuff, just kind of see how everything is, bend and check all the different wrinkles and the connection points, and you can see how they fall off. But then when you open up your arm a little bit, it might be a little hard to see, but you know, let's get in front of the camera. They kind of just connect to each other a little bit. So little stuff like that can really help out. So yeah, just You know, like hands, just stare at yourself. Don't be afraid to go. Nice big wrinkles too. Just draw X, Y's, and Z's like me. You'll be fine. Am I an anime fan? Just a little bit. I wouldn't consider myself a die-hard anime fan, but I love anime. I grew up with, you know, Naruto and Dragon Ball, and then eventually upgraded to One Piece, and, you know, just kind of picked and choose. Even Sailor Moon, loved Sailor Moon growing up as a kid. My sister and I used to watch that a lot. So yeah, I love anime. I love the styles. I definitely want to go further into it. I'm currently watching a certain scientific railgun at the moment. That's really fun, super good. Highly recommend it. I'm halfway through season 1. It's also helping me brush up on my Japanese a little bit, since I barely know it, and I would like to know it more. But yeah, so I would say yes, fan, diehard, no. People also forget that they have hands and feet and faces when it comes to reference. You know what's funny? Upgraded from Naruto, blasphemy. You know what's funny? Well, you know. Anyway, I wasn't saying that Naruto is like low. But you know what's funny? So like we're talking about hand references for a second. Check this funky toe thumb out. Most of my early sculpts had toe thumbs because I have one. I have 2 actually. So Megan Fox up over here. So a lot of my early sculpts had toe thumbs, and a lot of my thumbs were a little wrong because of how short they are. So when I would sculpt thumbs and toe, like it would just be all weird. It'd be weird in the beginning. So I stopped using my hands for reference. Yeah, man, I love it all. Anime is good to me. I love it. I love when Tanjiro became super addictive. Yeah, absolutely. What is better, a portfolio with varied pieces, or one specialized in theme? Ooh, that's a great question. Well, since I can only speak for toys, specifically, but I'll pull up my ArtStation real quick, and I can show you what I recommend you do. I definitely recommend first and foremost that you guys view portfolio real quick. I recommend for portfolio pieces that you have a couple really good pieces. Okay, your portfolio should be a living, breathing entity of you. So it should be up to date and current with your best pieces. Don't just throw everything into here, but definitely your best pieces are going to be good. And for toys specifically, you're making something that's going to be manufactured. So if you know 3D printing, or you're just getting into 3D printing, or you know a guy or gal who 3D prints, then what I think you should do is first have a really nice render that showcases your model, and then have a clay render or a ZBrush kind of render that showcases it all as one, you know, so that they can read the details and stuff. So like a clay render, and even if possible, pieces to break down. So here you can see I broke it down into 3 pieces. And then if you can, please show the actual print. So what this does is that, yes, manufacturers will, you know, or companies will be like, okay, he made a piece, he keyed it, great, perfect. Oh, it's printable and it fits together. That's it. That's really what they want to know, especially when trying to get into it. Then you can add other stuff like a turn of your render. Again, a clay render. I did a turn here. So it really just, for toys, it's simplistic, but make it purposeful, you know? So really just showcase the best of it. Have a few pieces and try to keep things updated as much as possible. If you have a theme, that's depends on who you're going for. I know Specifically, like, I work at Funko. If you wanted to work for Funko, maybe not sculpt a pop. Don't do that. Because they'll be able to pick out exactly what's wrong with it. I would say, in turn, just show your best work and turn it in, and you'll be good to go. But have a few pieces. I've built this up since 2019, late 2019, early 2020 is when I really started putting my portfolio together. So that's what I recommend. If you can, have a really nice presentation, something clean that people can see. So when they pop in, have one of your best pieces that you love that's in your portfolio. That's very important. Don't have something up here that they can't look at. Because if you have something really awesome up here and then they can't find it, then, you know, it's just a weird little, like, you want somebody to come in and take a peek. So showcase that, any socials that you have, and then, yeah, just your best work. So hopefully that helps. And that's for everything here. I'll show you real quick. That's everything I have. If you click on this one here, again, render, turns, clay renders. See here, I went a little bit more extreme. I just had like a bunch of renders. A turn, I even have how I did it. This one was extreme. And then I have to put some like 3D print stuff in there to showcase I printed it. Same with this one. Get your turns in there, your renders, and you can put as much of there as you want. It's up to you. I would say just try to keep it, you know, don't go too crazy. But this one was a complex piece, so I showed a lot of different angles so that they could see it from every aspect. And then, of course, the print, show that it works. You see here it stands. That's the important part. Making sure that it's manufactured for toys. That's what you want to do. The reflex of ourselves. Absolutely. Yeah. When Ninjas Chronicles. The best. Nice. Yeah. So cool. Okay, let's see. What's the best resolution sphere to start with? 32, 64, or 128? That's completely up to you, Solid Egg. Depends on how dense you want to work. I always recommend start really light. I've started as low as 16 before, but that's probably a little too ridiculous on the light side. 32 is probably a good start. It depends on what you're blocking out, and it depends how clean you want it. If you want something super clean, then keep it as low as possible, but not too low where it's hard to work with. That's always a challenge. And if you're not too sure, just, you know, try a few different things and then do that. Let's see. And can you specify the inspiration guidelines for the Sculpt Off? I can't find a description anywhere or on the Pixologic website. I just heard somebody say it's reimagine of a character. All right, Snowflakes, great question. So real quick, let me pop over here, go to the summit. So if we go, we go to summit.pixologic.com. They give you kind of this really interesting description right here. And so I could see why this might be just a little confusing to some. Essentially, in 1931, Coca-Cola hired an artist to reimagine what we now know as Santa Claus. And so what they want us to do is take a famous fictional character that we know today, and you want to change and reimagine it. So example would be, besides the Santa Claus one, think of what Dracula would look like if he was cybernetic. Or imagine, reimagine like what Deadpool would look like if he was female. Little things like that. What you want to do is keep the theme of the character so that people can look at it and say, oh, that is Deadpool, or that is Dracula, or Frankenstein. But it's your interpretation, it's your take on the character. So you kind of have gloves off and free range to do pretty much whatever you want, as long as you keep the elements of the character true to the character. So if there's something very unique about the character, for example, Dracula, is a vampire. Vampires drink blood to stay alive. If you create a character that doesn't do that, but call him Dracula, then that kind of breaks the character. So you would want that element to stay there. but you would want to change how do they drink it. So you're really thinking about telling a story. What is your character? Who is your character? And why are they the way they are? So yeah, it is very interesting. It's really unique. At first glance, I was like, okay, even I was like, all right, yeah, I got this. And then as soon as I sat down and put pen to paper, I was like, I really got to think about this. So yeah, I would say hopefully that explains it a little bit more. But you're really just reimagining things. Also, thanks Alex for pointing that there. But go through it. So I know at one point there was some confusion with the rules where it was like it has to be your own original concept, and that kind of freaked a few people out because they're like, well, we're taking a famous character, but it has to be my own work. It's your take on it. So essentially, if you reimagine Dracula, it should be your take on it, not a concept artist that you found online that then you just sculpted. So, make it your own, but still with that character element. Let's see here. You cannot sculpt without reference. Is that true? That's debatable. There are a lot of talented, extremely hardworking artists that can work without reference, and that's something you earn over time. I highly recommend that you always sculpt with reference because you might get something wrong. You can't know everything, right? But it's not really a matter of depending on reference. At some point, you're going to want to walk away from that. But in the beginning, it's super important because everybody kind of knows, like cloth, for example. Everybody knows what a shirt looks like, and somebody can say, that doesn't look right, but they don't know how to fix it. So if you don't use reference, you can get things wrong in the beginning. But after a while, when you do things over and over again and you build that muscle memory, then you could start pulling away from reference and not really rely or depend on it as much. But at the end of the day, when in doubt, just get reference because it's only going to help you make your sculpt better. But can you do it? Yes, there are some people who can do it, and my hat's off to them because that's awesome. You work from home? I do work from home. Yep, my day job is at home. I actually wonder if I'll ever be in an actual studio. I think about that some days. Just my job can be done from anywhere as long as I have an internet connection and a laptop. I'm pretty much good to go. Maybe I should do that and then once in a while go down to Starbucks. Thank you so much. I didn't see that description before. Great words of advice. I've been struggling, so that will be a lot of help. Awesome, not a problem. Just don't do the Dracula thing. Unless you really want to, but we've used that. I've heard so many people on Pixologic use that. I was like, oh man, I wonder if we're gonna see a bunch of Draculas. But do an amazing job whatever you pick. Let's see. Hey, and does the sculpt have to include a whole character? Could it be a bust? Any other things sculptors should know about presenting the characters? Okay. Ooh, awesome, great question. Super great question. I'm going to refer you to if the story makes sense. If your final render tells a story in which I only need to see a neck and chest, do it. The less, you know what I mean? But I would say be careful about relying on just the bust. Even though you have 3 hours from start to finish and upload render, a bust, you're going to want to have some good details in there. So don't pigeonhole yourself into something that needs a lot of attention to detail because you've only cut it off. Where a full character, you can kind of cheat some areas so that, you're not... I won't just hone in on the fact that, his skin is too smooth. So I would say if you do choose to do a bust, be very cautious on and purposeful with your details. But, it's up to you ultimately. As long as your character reads well and, the judges can look at it and say, oh, that is that thing. Yeah, you should be fine. Let's see here. Let's see. You're invited! Yes, thank you, Nightbot. This is honestly great advice, by the way. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Do I work for Activision? No, I do not work for Activision. I work for Funko. I help make pops. Fun little toys. starting to add way too many wrinkles on that side, and it's not looking good on this. So let's move over here. Let's do that. Let's see. Does your job pay well? You don't have to answer. Oh no, I'll answer. Yeah. My job pays. My job pays well. As a one thing you got to remember, guys, is that what we do as artists is very specialty. So, when you go into a job interview, you should have a figure that you need to make to survive, right? You need to have that idea. I can't kind of guide you into what that is. That's kind of something that you have to know. But every job pays differently depending on where in the world they are and where you are. But for me, in my location, being Los Angeles, yeah, they pay really well. I'm happy to be working for them. I just finished working on Diablo 2! Oh, wow. Really? That is awesome, dude. It's awesome. 0 point. Had an argument about that you could sculpt without reference, but the streamer and his family jumped on me. I will give you money if you work well without reference. Started mocking my own work. Oh. Well, that's not fun. I say whatever works for that artist. If an artist is wanting to argue or debate how something should be done, that's on them. Only you know how to prevent forest fires. I mean, only you know how to, only you know what you're gonna need. Nobody can tell you that. It's just, for me, I've always been the guy who's like, I have no idea how to do this without at least looking at some sort of guidance. But that's not cool to get in a... Well, hopefully it was a friendly debate. Let me rephrase that. Hopefully it was a friendly debate and not, not too insane, because those arguments are never fun. Wrinkles! See, it's already looking a whole lot better once we got some wrinkles up in there. Whatever the number is, double it. Best advice I ever got. There you go. I will say this, as somebody who's interviewed, I'm gonna stop it right there for 5 seconds. Some of you don't know, I spent 12 years in manufacturing as a machinist for aerospace and water fountain feature companies. So I had my fair share of being in a position to interview somebody. And the thing is that go into any interview with a mindset of, this is the dollar value I want to make. And that should be above what you need to make. Nobody wants to work paycheck to paycheck and have nothing to show for it at the end of the day, right? So whatever you need, definitely, boost that up. What is it that you want to make? And you can only answer that based on your area. It's really hard to give any type of financial advice because it changes for everybody. But at the end of the day, as somebody who's interviewed before, I always assumed that people fluffed their numbers. If somebody came in and said, I want to make $25 an hour, knowing what the minimum wage is and knowing what the average pay was for that position, I just always assumed, okay, they're coming in with numbers that are fluffed higher because that's what they want to make. And out of the people I've hired in the past before, we always boil down to, is that person worth it? Does it make sense to hire them at that rate? Are they asking too much? And that's where the negotiations start, right? So at the end of the day, you know what you need to make to survive, and you know what you want to make, and find that healthy balance. How many artists does it take to draw a light bulb? 100! 100.1 to draw it, and 99 to say that they can do it better. Oh, sorry. I read that as 100.1. Yeah, whatever. Now Jay Nelson's gonna blame me because they will have to read. Review a lot of cybernetic Draculas, right? Yeah. Everybody do a cybernetic Dracula. Let's all just commit to that. I was recycling my argument, but it was rude. Yeah. Now took my artwork from He took my artwork from Discord and put it in his stream and left it there for a minute or more for his fanboys mocking it. Wow, he went to the bathroom. That's just crappy. That sucks, dude. Like, nobody should ever do that, man. That's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's you know, like, that's not helpful to anybody in the industry whatsoever. It's not even helpful to anybody as an artist or as an individual, because, you know, what's the benefit of tearing somebody down? You know, at the end of the day, I want to see everybody get better, right? I want you guys to come here and feel like you're learning something, or that you can engage and get something out of it at the end of the day. You know, I don't know everything, but what I do know is we shouldn't be tearing down other artists. So if there are artists out there that are tearing people down, walk away from them, because that toxicity is just not good for anybody. You know, if I had walked in there immediately seeing that, I would have bounced out immediately. Like, just, that's not good. You know, it's the same like when you put something up on Instagram, right? You put something up because you love it and you're happy with it. It doesn't help for somebody to come in here and start giving you critiques. You know, A, who are they? And B, on top of it, you know, they don't know what it is you were trying to do or what you were trying to go for. So it's just, you know, all that stuff needs to kind of just stop. That makes sense? Like, you know, especially it's like somebody who does their best work, doesn't matter what level it is, that's their level, that's their journey. And all I've ever wanted to do was just kind of, you know, help in that journey. And if there's artists out there who aren't helping in that journey, walk away from them. You know, it's not helpful, and that's sad. So I'm sorry that happened to you. Ugh. I'm sorry, dude. Thank you for the advice. Not a problem, Ra. I'm just an aspiring 3D artist. Been enjoying the Demon Slayer stream so far. Awesome, 0 point. And you know what? All right, I'm gonna segue this. All right, you guys got me. Here, guys. If you want a safe spot, you want a place where you can put your artwork, and you can get feedback from people who are there and want to help out, including myself. That's my link. Take it to my Discord. Pop on my Discord. Tag me in it. If I have time, I'll definitely go over it. But there are other artists in there and some really good friends of mine who are always looking to help people get better. And it's just a place that you can come. So join that Discord. Come in, share your work, tag me in it. No one in my Discord will ever tear anybody down that way. Never. Never. It's got me flaming, man. I agree, that's awful. Artists should encourage each other. Absolutely. Wrinkles! Alright. Great questions, by the way, guys. Glad you guys are enjoying. Oh, just speaking of which, because next week is the summit, there is no stream on Sunday for me next week because the summit's going to be there. And then there's also no stream for me on Halloween. So I'm going to be taking a 2-week hiatus. 1, because of the summit, and then 2, Halloween. So just so you guys are aware. So this will be my last stream for the next 2 weeks. Although I will be there at the summit presenting on Sunday with some amazing artists. So I'll be there. You, Shane Spicer, and Palovich are my sculpting ZBrush gurus, but I'm still looking for someone who specializes in posable action figure sculpting and printing. Any leads, Akuma? No leads, man. But I am super honored to even be mentioned in that group of super talented artists. But no leads. I've actually the articulation stuff that I was doing, I had paused it because work got super busy, and A lot of what I learned with posable action figures, always comes down to material, and the stuff I've done professionally, we work with PVC and ABS, so getting stuff for 3D printing, getting it looking right is a little bit, shall we say, complex. But I would say, if you do get some good joints built, make the joints themselves out of filaments, and then you can do the character itself in resin, and then connect the two, and you should get some pretty good results that way. That's about where I was at before I had to kind of pause my own research. Going with this clay brush real quick. Clay buildup. Joe Mina did a summit presentation covering some articulation a few years back. He absolutely did, yeah. Where do you think I learned it, guys? Also, too, if you go to YouTube and type in ZBrush Summit articulation, oh my goodness. Why did I draw a blank? Go to YouTube. ZBrush Summit. If you type in ZBrush Summit Hasbro, there we go. If you're looking for articulated figures, immediately come in here. This full thing right here is going to, like, rock your socks off if you have not seen it. I'm sure a lot of you have, but that's one of the best out there, because he really breaks it down exactly how to go about. And he makes one elbow joint, right? And he showcases a lot of other joints too. But that one elbow joint, if you can do that one elbow joint, then you can articulate everything on the body. It's just that it's all custom. Now, there are some talented and hardworking artists who have made articulated cuts and joint cuttings, like live bullying and stuff. And cheers to them, because I have failed miserably doing that. Much appreciated, and you definitely deserve on the list. Thanks, man. Hasbro! Yep, absolutely. What are you hoping ZBrush will add in version 2022? Oh, you know what? I am hoping, Daniel, that they work on getting Stager to work with, T-pose in a way that we can actually use Stager to have a T-pose and then an A-pose. If ZBrush does that, oh my gosh. That would be awesome. But I don't know. I would love to see more cloth dynamics stuff. I use it a lot, but I feel like dynamics can be a little complex sometimes. But I use it simply enough. I think that it would be good to have a little bit more improved dynamics, and I would love to see them expand on the retopology functionality with the Z modeler. If you hang with me here for a second. If you guys could imagine modeling, retopoing, and then getting your cloth all done in ZBrush, and you'd never have to leave it. That would be so awesome. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping. What about you guys? What would you guys like to see besides Peel UV? Let's see. I don't know about you, but I miss some external pivot points uses in ZBrush. So for me, that would be awesome. Oh, yeah, nice. I don't speak any other language than English. However, I can use Google Translate, because I like to try to answer any and all questions if possible. So hopefully. Let me see here. Where can you see the initial modeling process? Where can you see the initial modeling process? This whole process was done here on Pixologic. So if you actually essentially just go to YouTube, and they have video playlists, and then you can pick through my videos there. Sounds awesome. All in one ZBrush. I know, right? You already proved the stage before pose with pose. So you can't, like, with Stager right now. Real quick, I haven't saved in a while, so this will be helpful. So if we were to come back to this lovely model, and let's turn everything else off. So right now with Stager, what Stager remembers is it remembers geometry changes, right? So if we set a home stage, and then for example, let's say I wanted her running, right? So if I were to go ahead and push this here, lean her forward type approach, and then this is just going to be down and dirty, so bear with me here. But then let's say we, like, get her running real quick. That was terrible. Go just real fast. Okay. So let's just say that this is what we want, right? Over. So she's starting to lunge forward. She's lunging forward. Okay. So, and then I hit target stage. And when I switch stage, it breaks, right? It doesn't remember, because that's not really what it does. What Stager really does is it will remember geometry changes and it will remember scale. So what Stager really does, you set a home stage, and then from here you send this over here, and then you blow it up, right? And then you hit target stage. When you switch back, you have here, and then when you come over here, you have a target stage. So it really remembers its position and its scale, but it also remembers the geometry changes. If ZBrush could get it to where you where the geometry change stays and it doesn't remember it from both, man, that'd be fire. That would be so awesome. Yeah. All right. Anyway, if ZBrush could hook up my brain in the copy and paste, that would be great. Perfect. Yeah. Do you think morph targets or layers would be good for a solution like this? Morph targets and layers do really, really well. I've implemented them some when creating blend shapes before. Not a specialty in blend shapes, but yeah, that works out pretty well. But I've broken my layers before, and that's probably on me. But again, it's like there's a lot of setup involved. It's all the same thing. It's just a lot of setup. So imagine not having to do that, and you just mask and move your gizmo and set stuff up, because then you can have posable symmetry, automatically linked. So no, I haven't thought about this in any way, shape, or form. Stager not working is how I find the morph target between T-pose and pose while using layers to add sculpting details. Works pretty well. Just have to be on top of your various settings. Yep, absolutely. It's a shame that that not save the gizmo position in the two stages. Yeah. Well, you could just hold Alt and snap it to it. But yeah. Yeah, I would like to see some more dynamic cloths, but I mean, every update has been truly just amazing, and it just keeps getting better and better. That's just my little dream. Now watch, they're gonna be like, oh, that's good. So more than likely, guys, I will probably finish Nezuko's cloth, Wrinkles. If we don't start them, it's the same thing. It's just on a different figure, coming through and getting it all set. A lazy mouse on. Just to reiterate, that's just my dream of a little dream that's not coming. I don't think that's coming. So it would be awesome though if we all guessed what was going to be the new updates. Like that would be really cool. See, actually, okay, this is what Stager was designed for. You ready for this? Check this out, because I don't use it this way at all, but it's funny. But this is what Stager was designed for. Set it on home. Move it over here. Set target stage. Right? And now I can put it back on him. So this way I don't have to keep doing the, you know, I don't have to sit here and hide it with a single solo. I just... That's really what Stager was designed to do, I think. And I don't use it that way. I feel like when video game companies release a game, they're like, it is bug free, and then gamers get a hold of it and they do things that even the engineers had no idea was going to happen. I feel like that's how I work in ZBrush. They're like, oh, let's do this one thing, and then I'm like, I'm actually going to use it like this. I'm sure you guys would actually probably, you guys know what I'm talking about. No, we're not going to use it the way you intended. Good job. And to actually get some of this working the way I want it. So I'm actually going to back up subdivision a little bit. We're going to save real fast, quick, and in a hurry. And we're going to start pushing and tugging with the cloth transpose. BT and then transpose cloth. I think in included Coke freestyle would be nice. Included Coke. Oh, I got it. Wow, I'm late to the party. Yeah, having an auto pop dispenser would be awesome. Wait, now I'm confused as to why it doesn't hold poses if it already storing brush strokes. Because it remembers geometry changes. So, like I said, if I were to take this over and I would to switch stage to here, and then I like mask this section off, right? And then I utilize my cloth transpose and I get some bigger wrinkles, right? And then I switch it back, it's going to remember that change, okay? It remembers the geometry between the two. So that way, the only thing that it does, the only thing that it separates is scale and position. That's pretty much it. But it will remember what happened with the geometry between point A to point B. So for example, if I were to turn this all off, and then I were to set home stage, and then I were to send this over here and scale it way down and hit target stage, now when I switch, it will remember the scale difference. But if I were to go ahead and stretch this over here, right, and then I switch back, see, it remembered that geometry change. It just scaled it to where the stage was. So it remembers scale between the two, and it remembers the individual position, but it will always remember the geometry stage. So that's why having a T pose in Stager and then moving it to a different position doesn't work. Yeah. ZBrush is awesome. Welcome to Pixologic, creators of ZBrush, where we do everything ZBrush because it can. If you thought it could do it for the most part. Yeah, so that's why 0 point. Okay, sorry if I made it more confusing. Not the intent. But what's funny is when Stager was introduced, there was quite a few of us who was like, "Damn, you know what? I'm gonna pose my character in Stager." Like immediately, that's what they thought of. So it's kind of funny. Like, you know, you build something with a certain intent, and then you realize that the public was like, "We're gonna do something else with it." That's how I feel what happened to Stager, and I think I'm confident. I'm confident one day it will be like that. I'm gonna say it until it happens. Really, like, I'll get Paul to be like, "What are you doing? Stop talking about it." No. Anyway, all right. Enough about my own stuff and thoughts. Ooh. That is looking better. I don't know about you guys, but I started telling myself that because I figured I'd just will it into the environment. Be like, "This looks amazing. The best thing I've ever done ever." And I just believe it. Bloop. Yeah, I'll just sneak that in there. Be like, along with Sager, we'll just like feel that UV already. Oh, never mind. I was thinking wrong. You don't want it to keep the pose. You just want to be able to switch back and forth. Restore the peel UV. Okay. MJ, you're probably gonna like fry me, like deep boil me right now. But what is this peel UV? Everybody's so eager. I'm like really curious about it. Like I'm being genuine here. Actually, I've never really. I don't do UVs much. My days. How can I sell my 3D models? You can sell them online in a lot of different places. Just like there's Gumroad and Etsy and ArtStation and other places. Yeah. Sell them yourself. Put them on your ArtStation. As long as it's your stuff to sell, as long as it's your stuff, do it. And MJ is currently writing a gonna attack me right now. Peel UV was displayed at Summit several years ago. Okay, so this is before my time. All right, thank you. All right, several years ago, and then mysteriously was never talked about again. It was supposed to be a new feature or plugin for ZBrush from Pixologic. Oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, let's keep talking about it then. Yeah. But it looked amazing. Okay, I want to see this now. Just randomly just start messaging. Just peel UV, just message it. It was the answer to the crappy UVs in ZBrush. Gotcha. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, so what's funny is I've only been sculpting in ZBrush for 5 years. But I used Core for like 3 of those years. That's good. That's good to know. Tell you right now, I'm probably gonna want to create some sort of cut. Trying to think of the cut and how I'm gonna want to print this. We'll get to that point. Now, I also noticed too that I have not painted, not paint this yet. Now I gotta think. Let me try something real quick before I get too ahead of myself. I don't know if I have an opinion. Oh, super talented artist. Yeah, great artist. Thanks, man. Thanks. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We gotta paint this. So I have a plan in mind. Get all these wrinkles, and I realize I did not paint before then. Foolish mortal. So we're gonna have to improvise here. So let's start with creating some color points. So let's grab our Z modeler. What I'm gonna do is start creating this checkered pattern. So we're going to go 3 by 3 to keep things relatively consistent. We may have to adjust bits, but about making this work. I'm just using Z modeler for those of you who are curious, and I'm just holding Alt, and I'm quickly creating different polygroups for where this should all be. I'm going to have to kind of edit some stuff on the fly here, but what we can do is see where things are not going to be seen, where it's not visible. We're not going to bother with that. Now, more than likely, we'll have to factor in some other stuff, but real quick, getting a little wonky, but that's all right. What we're going to do now is I'm actually going to hover over this edge, pick polygroup, and I'm going to touch that to be a different polygroup. So this will get me most of the way there. I can touch this part here, mask it off, subdivide back up. Actually, subdivide up, mask it off. There we go. Invert that. So I can have that checker pattern. Pretty cool. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and subdivide one more time. There we go. Get a sharper mask, invert that mask. And from there, I'm just going to go ahead and fill this to be not true black, but almost... Go. You know, we'll go bigger with that. That's a little too small. That's a little too checkered. But nah, you get the idea now. Let's go 4x4. Let's see. I posted a link at the timestamp of the summit video going over Peel UV. Prepare to be angry that you still don't have. All right, MJ. I'll tell you what. For the sake of everybody, including myself, I will make sure to check it out after the stream, so I just don't cry the rest of the stream. Appreciate it. You could never paint like that with my sculpted topology. You know what? Just go ahead and project history with clean topology, and then you'd be good to go. Reassured you shed some tears. All right. All right, we're gonna modify on the fly. Oop. Try to keep them as close to distant as possible. He says as he makes one completely inconsistent. You doing? It's looking a little bit better. Okay, cool. What you do now is we can kind of make that one look like that for now. Because that's going to be hidden, so we don't need to see the full checker pattern back there. Because we're going to make this one slightly bigger so that we can... This one... I'm hitting all sorts of buttons. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, look at those sound effects. You guys just have to add that for now. Alright, that's hidden as well, so good. We can leave that be. Blah, 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 blah. We'll paint the rest by hand there. Go. Okay. There we go. Boop. There we go. Paint that last square here ourselves to make it look good. Alright, now we're getting there. Great 3D model, you're amazing. Thanks. Oh, dude. Thanks, 1, 2, 3, 4. Appreciate it. Within a minute of just talking about it, there were possible gasps in the audience. Oh, man. So you're saying, like, you're saying it just got built so amazing. And then, yeah, okay. Alright. Super stoked, man. Super stoked. Now we repeat this process. We're going to want similar sizes and shapes. I'm going to kind of do the same thing. And luckily we can kind of just eyeball that and say like, oh, okay, yeah, that'll work. And we just kind of, we go from here. Just for the sake of my own eyes, we'll put that there. So you can see, okay, yeah, that's looking good. Oh, thanks, man. Papa Castro, thank you so much. You see, I'm just trying to eye it as much as possible and correct where it's needed. We could do stuff like this too. We're not bound to the topology so much. We can kind of angle this a little bit so that it looks like that should line up, right? A little bit of flow here. And then we can kind of paint that by hand a little bit. Probably. Oops, I got the move brush. And here, do that. Yeah, we end up lying to ourselves a little bit here. No. Where it gets fun. It's like a puzzle, just waiting to be solved. We can actually get rid of that. We can edit some of this. And make this fit a little bit. And you know what we could do? Here's what we're gonna do. Is actually gonna bring this up. You know what? I lied. Put that down here. We'll finish hand painting the rest. This will get us started. We'll correct where we need to. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Switch fill object. There we go. We'll need to do the rest on this one. Let's see here. Are you applying surface noise with the cloth texture? I may or may not. It depends. At the moment, no. Just because I don't plan on printing this super huge. But at the same time, I usually look at surface noise and textures at the very end once I've established all the main forms. My Discord's confused by neutral. Yeah, we have a bot that we're building right now. Hello, what's going on? The Gabo 26. How you doing? My PC, I have a it's a PC. It's an AMD Ryzen 7 3600. Wow, that took a while. I have 48 gigs of RAM. I have the GeForce RTX 2080 graphics card. Don't really need a beefy graphics card with ZBrush, but that one's really good. It's air-cooled with a ton of fans. And then it's the Asus it's Asus Gaming Strix model. Yeah, I totally screwed that one up. But anyway, Asus motherboard. I have a 500 gigabyte SSD that runs the system, and then I have like 4 other drives in there. All right. Go ahead and have my Z modeler and back in and actually give this a little bit of color too. Fine. There we go. Better. So I built it over time. In total, right now, this whole machine with the setup is probably about a $3,000 machine. But I want to get the AMD Ryzen 9 chip in there, or wait long enough to get a Threadripper eventually, because the Threadripper will do everything I need it to. But that's a whole new setup all over again if I go the Threadripper route. But as of about right now, yeah, I've soaked in about $3,500 in total. If you include the last motherboard and chipset that I had bought, but that eventually crashed, so it's a work in progress. I build it when I can. Luckily, I was able to get it pretty beefed up before the start of this year, so yeah, I didn't. There was a little bit of like a manufacturing hiatus for some parts. Graphic cards were a little hard to find for a while, so yeah, luckily I didn't have to worry too much about that. How is the way to manage correctly the cloth inside sleeves, the tunic for 3D prints? I mean, you fill the gaps to make it solid with body. Okay, yeah, great question. I'll actually showcase how I plan on doing that ultimately. So right now, if I want to fill the sleeve, what I will ultimately end up doing is I will create a copy just for demonstration purposes. And essentially what I'm going to end up doing is collapsing this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a history point. And then what I'll do is I'll actually come through here. I will lower subdivision levels. I'm going to delete lower on that part. And then we're going to go ahead and... No, sorry. I'm all over the place. Don't mind me. I'm really all over the place. What I'm going to do is ultimately cap it. So I'll just showcase that part. So what I'm going to ultimately do is end up capping it and then pushing that back. So one of the things I'd want to do is create some history spot. And then I will turn around and, yeah, delete lower. And then from here, I want to modify my topology to make sense. So I would go ahead and end up closing holes at some point in time. So that way my holes and everything is a little bit different, but I have a good amount of stuff here. And then once I have that, now I can establish the thickness. This is a watertight seal. From here, I can actually turn around and retopologize it if I wanted to with ZBrush just to ensure that that was closed off really, really well. What I could also do, and this is more likely the route I will take, is... as I still kind of just jump everywhere, is I'll end up creating a separation between the sleeve itself. So let's actually go one spot here like this. I'm going to turn this color off for a second. I feel like it's everywhere. There we go. Okay. So ultimately, one of the things I would do is I would duplicate this process, and then I would turn around and select the section up here, auto group it, and then maybe hide this guy right here. Make this a single mesh split hidden. So then I'll have this, I'll have these two pieces, but they'll be separate. I will close holes on this piece here. And then for this one, what I'll end up doing is coming in and extruding the inside. So I come in here, hit extrude, kind of bring this, give it some thickness this way. And then I'd merge these two pieces back together. So I take this piece and then I'd ultimately merge it down. Now I have, if we take a look at this way, let's turn the rest of the model on. So what will ultimately happen is I will have this watertight, but then I'll have the sleeve thickness in a spot that now, you know, what they'll do is they'll give it some depth and dynamics. I'd paint that black, but ultimately I would merge this back together, clean it up, and do it that way. That way you have a watertight sleeve, but then that sleeve shows a little bit of depth and dynamic. because for 3D printing, you can go a few different routes, but then I would be able to merge all the arms and stuff together. There's a bunch of different ways. That's one of the ways I plan on doing it for the sleeve. Let's see here. So hopefully that makes sense, because then you'll have this part right. And way I do things with 3D printing is I ultimately will Dynamesh everything together, and then make sure that it's nice and clean. Oh, and my cloth is merging into each other because I have the cloth brush. Transpose. There we go. I just bring that back. Be good to go. Yeah, I have to clean that up, but that's one way I do it. There's gonna be a lot of cleanup for that. Yeah, no problem. Okay. See which one. Okay, there we go. That's a go on that. But don't worry, you'll actually be able to see me when that time comes, because I'm going to be slicing it here on the Pixo channel as well. So when it comes time for that, trust me, I'll showcase it all. Let's see. Meanwhile, some of us are using a decade-old machine that runs on my will to survive. Yeah, you were saying that the other day, MJ. Yeah, been there, man. I've been there. The more but see, I don't know what's more impressive: the fact that I have a really nice machine, or that you've made a decade-old machine still run for you with modern ZBrush. I would say you're the winner here, buddy. I might just release Tanjiro by himself too. Look at that. Even by himself, it looks cool. We got to create a base still, guys. Like, oh man, there's so much. But I have a nice work machine. Nice. Okay, let's not make the same mistake, and let's actually paint this one. Can make this one make a little bit more sense at the end of the day. Grab the Z modeler. Hit every button but the ones I want. You know what I'm talking about. Let's start with this one. Oh. You know what? I'm going to rebuild this. Okay. So, I have some good wrinkles here, but this part right here is really bothering me. So let's rebuild this. So let's go ahead. And this is why I stress that a lot of people just learn Z modeler as best you can. We're going to select this whole section right here that's really just nasty. That topology, hover over and go delete. Bloop, bloop. No, come on, delete it. Come on. Get rid of those high subdivisions. There we go. Like that. So I want this to be a nice sharp edge. Yep. And now what we're going to do, we're going to take Z modeler, we're going to hover over an edge. We're going to go with extrude, snap to surface. I'm going to hover over the face and do nothing. That part's really important. If not, you're going to have a little bit of a struggle. We're just going to come straight across. Fix the cloth side of life here in a minute. That. That's. This, do a relax smooth, just to get that where we want it. Bring that down a little bit. Go ahead and increase polygroup, so that's going to increase that border right there. There we go. Do the same thing to the other side, because again, I have this weird kind of funky loop thing happening. So I'm going to hover over face. I'm going to go ahead and pick something. Pick something. Pick something. Mesh. Okay, great. Alright, grab that stuff, and then go to... And we rebuild this. This way we can get really nice topology where we need it. Do nothing. Quick rebuild. Boom. Edge group. Go. Now when I hit dynamic subdivision, I get a more controlled edge. This is exactly what I want. Got the move brush. Come in here real quick. Lights, relax smooth. Bada bing, bada boom. Came from the future, you'll be present in 10 years. Oh god, no. Please, no. Alright, we're gonna insert single edge loop. I'm gonna create those supporting edges to keep that nice and sharp. Like that. Like that. Do it. Okay, beautiful. Now we have a nice border for that. Go ahead and save. And we got 1 more hour left, guys. Now we can come in here. Actually, what we could do is delete those edges real fast. So I can paint, and then we can put those edges back. So let's come over here. Not inset. We're going to go polygroup. Bada-boom, bada-boom. Yeah. Touch. Go. Try to keep them all the same size, just like before. More of a visual guess at this point. Oh, don't delete that. There you go. Hopefully I did this well enough. Oh, look at that. Hey, not too shabby. Solo? I don't use stage that way. Gonna be my thing. I go against the grain. You know what we can do? We can actually lower this side, go here. Get a little bit more length on that one. Drop that one down. Here we go. I can't count, can I? This current song reminds me of Stranger Things. There we go, there we go. Okay, luckily we're getting to a spot where things get covered up. And even still, like, just check to make sure we're not doing more work than is necessary. Yeah, there we go. Since we're in pose and we don't have to worry about animation in any way, shape, or form, it's really just a good way to... We just get to kind of it a little bit. Perfect. Now we get to kind of just guess this one. Right? Oh, perfect. That's okay. Because again, that all gets covered up like that. Looks like we should have something right here. We'll put a little bit in there. There we go. Go ahead and grab this, make it a different group. Make it yellow. Yeah, perfect. Oh, that looks pretty cool. Just that. But now we're gonna go ahead and subdivide a few times. We do not need our cloth being of that. Okay, there we go. There we go. Nice. Let's save. That's a really quick way to paint, too. Then, actually, taking a quick look, I want to give it like a little bit of a different texture. I think I kind of want to have that that edge. I'm going to duplicate this real quick. Actually going to make this... Let me see the reference real quick before I just start making stuff up. There is no trim on it. Never mind. I was thinking there'd be trim, but that's... I'm doing something unnecessary. Perfect. That's why I follow reference personally, because it's way easier to, you know, you can kind of at the same time you can really like push it beyond. Like if you're trying to hold to a concept, you know, and you're like, I should add trim because I know jackets have trim. Maybe not this one. Let's see. So the reimagined theme means creating a personal version of a famous character like Superman or Mickey Mouse, but it has no references or examples of logic. Great. Okay. Might be a little... It sounds like a little overthought. You're recreating a character that exists, that's a famous fictional character, and that character still has to be true to that character. So if you were to reimagine Mickey Mouse, then you'd have to keep it so that it comes off as being Mickey Mouse, just differently. The example that they give is, in 1931, Coca-Cola wanted to change how we look at Santa Claus as we know him now. They hired an illustrator and said, we want to change the look of Saint Nick and make it be a little bit more modern. And in turn, now we have the red suit, black boots, white beard, reindeer version of Santa Claus. Still Saint Nick, it's still what the original idea of him was, but just modernized in a way that just tells the same story, but with your own take on it. So, the example I gave earlier in the stream was, you made a cybernetic Dracula. The things about Dracula are that, he drinks human blood because he's a vampire. But maybe he doesn't use his fangs. Maybe he uses a cybernetic component. Maybe he's a goblin of sorts. Maybe he's not even human. Maybe Dracula is showcased as an alien version, but it's still Dracula. That's the element you want to keep. You still want it. So whatever you choose to do, keep it towards that thing. Yeah, the spirit of the character stays. Yep, absolutely. It has to come off like that thing. Another version that I think somebody else over at Pixologic gave was like Frankenstein is probably a really good one to tackle, because Frankenstein is, Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein. Sorry, let me correct myself. Frankenstein monster is probably a good one because, well, what if you were making Frankenstein's monster, but you didn't use human parts? You used chicken bones and, rat legs and, you a pickle. There you go. Like that. Pickle Rick! I couldn't help myself. Great, but some references is possible would help understand exactly the reimagine. Well, that's the thing. It has to be your own original work. So if I were to give you something to, if I were to give you an example, then, that's kind of my work, right? So that's the point of the challenge. Is you have to create your own idea of it. I'm just gonna hand draw this mask here. No, this is just gonna paint it. We're just gonna paint it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna subdivide up to a part where the paint's gonna be nice and sharp, and then we're just gonna grab the paintbrush, the standard paintbrush, nothing special. Gonna go ahead and grab this green too. Make sure I grab this gray. Gonna turn on lazy mouse, and we're just gonna go ahead and paint the rest of the way. That part hidden? Tell me that part's hidden. Tell me that part is not hidden. Figure it out. It's like a puzzle. Just wait in the hand. Imagine that you were handed a design brief from Superman in 1938 and tasked with designing the character for the comics. In the design brief, you read that this character is from Krypton, has powers, and stands for good. Now it's your task to design that character. Yep. Yeah, look at it like a job. That's a good way. I will give you guys a little tidbit. The judges, Rafael Grassetti, Shane Olson, Joe Mina. Take a look at their work, because each and every one of them has reimagined a famous character, in so to speak. Shane Olson, responsible for the help and creation of the Disney Infinity line, reimagining all of those Disney characters in a stylized method that is different than from Disney. You know, Rafael Grassetti bringing back to life God of War that was once made by David Jaffe, who, you know, Rafael had to reimagine and keep the essence of God of War, but, you know, he had to reimagine Kratos. Joe Mina, big sculptor for Sideshow, Gentle Giants, and a bunch of other stuff, reimagining how those characters interact in the world. You look at all three of those judges, you'll get some really great examples on how they take and put their spin on each and every one of those characters. And I have a great feeling that that's why they're on that panel, or on that judge panel. So if you really want to, like, kind of pick into the mind of, like, what they're looking for, just look on how they did it. Shh, don't tell anybody I said that, okay? Yeah. Yeah, you're just redesigning something. Now the tricky part is, you know, is picking a fictional famous character, right? So whatever you pick, don't be too obscure, you know. Like, you don't want to be picking a character that you know and you think is famous but ultimately is not. And you know what's funny is, surprisingly, I had a few of those on my list. I'm like, everybody knows this character, right? So I would say be very picky with what you choose. Well, but at this point, yeah, it's just redesigning something that or is already in existence that everybody should know. Is famous in their own right, and that it doesn't have to be. You know, I've used Dracula as a big example, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. You know, it doesn't have to be like that fictional. It could be modern stuff as long as everybody knows it. Hey, man. Hey, what's up, Death How you doing? Coming in hot with those squid tentacles. Nice. Yeah. I'm taking a very interesting route this year. I won't tell you the character. You're going to have to come and see me sculpt off. But I'm taking a character that I don't think a lot of people are going to even think of, but as soon as they see it, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I know that character. Slight risk it for a biscuit. You know. Watching your Stone Golem from Breath of the Wild 2 playlist. Solid work. Thanks, man. Yeah, you are, Deb. You're a hot commodity. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that, too. Let's do John Constantine. Exactly. Yeah. So there you go. That's a great example of a fictional famous character. Well, a fictional character that isn't necessarily famous, but you actually probably do know it. I would say because of who the judges are, you probably, you know, unless you want to get. I mean, like, I'm not gonna do anything God of War related because I don't I don't want my stuff to be shredded apart. But I would say, like, you know, have fun with it. You know, go nuts. What's you know, like, at the end of the day, it's gonna be super fun. We're gonna do a little bit of a cheat here, but you know, you're not really gonna see this part too much. So I'm gonna go nuts with it right here. You hear crazy tapping. I'm just hitting one a bunch of times because I'm too lazy to go up to adjust, or I'm too lazy to go up to adjust last. Hitting one just makes sense for me. Just a moment in time. You're not even going to see that part back there because that's going to be up against his jackets. But there we go. Really just finished that part off. Go ahead and save that. Boop, boop. Yep. You want to do God of War? Go borrow my collector's edition. No, I'm not going to be doing God of War. Not with Raval Grassetti sitting on that judge panel. Are you like, nope, not even happening. I'm going to go as far away from that as possible. Maybe. Absolutely, man. Okay. All right, let's, we got some time still. We're going to go ahead and start. Here's what we're going to do with this. I'm going to go ahead and cap this, those holes. We're going to start. No, not delete hitting. Don't do that. Don't. We're going to start cleaning this up a little bit right here. Let's apply the dynamic. I grab the pinch brush, E, and then I. We're gonna start creating some decent seams that are gonna make some sense. Pinch brush. Hey, what's up, Spear Chuck? How you doing? Start looking at the design a little bit more, kind of seeing. Yeah, so I'm going to be creating a seam right where that pinch is at. Then we'll start finessing the rest. What's really hard is on the piece that I'm referencing, so if you guys can see where I'm referencing right now, there is no legs. I have to make this part up. And so what I've been doing is taking his character sheet, and I've been looking at how the pinch lines and the shadows fall based on his uniform, and then I'm going through and making some educated decisions on how they would be, especially how this is really cool, how we get some nice lines and examples of what happens when the knee is straight versus when the knee is bent. So it's what I'm fiddling with over my peer ref, because again, the concept doesn't have that, so we want to make sure that we at least have a good, solid attempt. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother. For those of you who don't know, Death Ackerman is my brother, biologically. Say hi, Death. Thanks, man. Yeah, this piece has been really taking its time, though. Sure you've noticed that. Yeah. Why did I feel like you two are playing with us? Nah. Alright, there we go. I'm creating a couple more areas where I want things to crease. And then we're gonna kind of taper those down a little bit. Actually, no. He's he's actually in another state. Chat's coming from inside the house. No, I just appreciate him stopping by. Thanks, man. Be some thickness on that part right there, so deal with that when the time comes. That nice cleaner topology is really just really helping out. Oh, okay, check that out. So there's a little bit of spot right here where this is kind of peeking through a little bit. So we need to paint that. Go. Make that a different color. Add this green. Pick that one up like that, which is different. There we go. Got the rest of the way. Color, grab that, fill it. Perfect. There. There we go. That makes more sense now. We'll probably want just a little bit more right here. Fill that. Yeah, there we go. Just don't want any weird, awkward spots. Alright, same here. We need to finish this part here. Okay. Fill this up right there, and then we'll correct it up here like this. We'll fill that with black, this on right there, last spot right up here, and then we'll finish painting the rest in. This up. There we go. Now we can kind of adjust the rest of this as we need it. And sometimes this is just like trying to figure out a good way to do it. It can be a little challenging sometimes. Also do this thing where we paint, kind of get it bending a little bit. We can come here, kind of flow it to this edge, kick it back over, sharpen this up. Down. Let's see here. Do you have any tips on how thick I need to make something like his jacket so it's safe for 3D printing? That's a great question. So essentially what you would want to do is set your scale first in order to make sure that your model is the size that you need. And then for thickness, if you can keep things about 2 to 4 millimeter for cloth, should be a good place to start. Depending on how fine of a resolution you're printing and depending on what print method you're using, resin versus FDM, you're going to want to make sure that there's enough thickness there. So depending on the size of the model, you know, check around at least like 2 millimeters. Should get you pretty, like, that's a good starting spot. It varies from time to time, but you know, you don't want to go too thin. So that's why I suggest set your scale first. So if you know your character will be, you know, 7 inches in height, set it to 7 inches, and then set the thickness of the cloth, finalize it there. So then you can say like, oh, okay, well, that's too thin. You could tell at that point. Resin, okay, yeah, that's what I would say. I would say start there. You should be good. It depends. There's no real like solid answer, you know, but it depends. You just have to kind of like play with it. Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and mask my poly group real fast. Sharpen that. But okay. All right, that's looking pretty dang skippy. Like it. Yeah, no, not a problem. Yeah. Well, yeah, 732. Okay. Cool. Now, basically, I'm gonna have to do that. The Nezuko's jacket next. Now, hers is gonna be a little bit more complex because, you know, she has this like diamond pattern, but we'll figure it out. Oh, nice. I've noticed that too. Yeah. People want that Gwenno. Okay, let's take a look at some stuff here real fast. Gonna have to fix his hair soon. Still blocked out. We'll have to start adding seams. I'm not moving to those final forms or details just yet. I'm really just making sure everything else reads well. Because, you know, again, I don't want to polish a turd, so to speak. Okay. Hey, what's up, Cyberdark? Yeah. Okay, and it's time for me to go. Really late here. Need to sleep. Good to see you. Take care. Alex, dude, thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah, get some sleep, buddy. Get some sleep. And I'll see you next weekend. You stop by and critique all my work and make sure that my project is even worthy to be in the Sculpt off. See you, buddy. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Roll and start getting some of this hair blocked out the rest of the way. I just woke up from a nap. It was like a spaghetti coma. Nice. Oh, will too. Take care. You too, man. Take care. I just bought a bunch of spaghetti today. good go-to. Hola, hello. How are you doing? Okay, I'm gonna start thickening up this hair a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is actually turn on backface, which if you guys don't know, if you go to brush, go to auto masking, backface. I use backface a lot when I'm dealing with hair or cloth remove brush. A good way to just add thickness. And then if you really want, if you end up moving too much or too many things, go to brush, turn on topological with thickness or with backface turned on, and then you can just one at a time. So is it stuff like that happen. All right, let's see. Don't worry, I won't. What a basic form did you use for the hair? Or is it custom IMM brush? Yeah, so actually all I did was created the hairbrush. I actually did it live here, but essentially what I did was just modify a curved curve alpha brush or the curve 2 brush. So basically just grabbing the curve tube. So I have this right here. We're actually going to go ahead and grab the color we need, right? So have the curve tube brush. You can draw an example. Then if you go up to stroke and do curve modifiers and go to size, not necessarily intensity unless you want, but pick size. And then we're going to go ahead and split. That's going to now give me this kind of nice little spike peak, but that's too sharp. So I just kind of raise this bottom part up a little bit, something more like that. And then maybe create a little bit of an arc. So it gives me a little bit of thickness right here. But this is too much topology. So what I ultimately did was go to seconds. I always forget where exactly I'm at. Modifiers. There we go. Modifiers. Go to brush modifier. Do like 8. Then you could just... And that'll have less topology, but it'll have a little bit more functionality for it. And then you can move that wherever you want, and then you could draw that out. And you just adjust the taper as needed. From here, go to stroke. Maybe bring that down a little bit more. That gives you just a little bit more of a point. You can even really adjust that last part to be a bit thicker. So you just might kind of make it the way you want it, and then save that out as a curve brush. And then a lot of times too, what I did for the creases, once I got the hair that I liked, over here real quick to auto groups. Then all I did was just take the Z modeler brush and say like, oh, I want this edge creased. So I hover over an edge, do crease, partial edge loop, and that creases that edge right there. So I could come through and make some creases if I would like. That's why I actually have that the brush modifier set at a lower level, so it's easier to pick out. Is nano mesh the best way to apply feathers on a wing? Nah, nano mesh is a way to do it for sure, and probably one of the best ways to do it. Yeah, I would say that's a good start. Yeah, you could also use array mesh if you wanted to, but nano mesh would probably be the best if you're trying to populate a bunch of feathers everywhere. This song that's playing right now, guys, this is one of the songs I just love on the list. I know, like every stream, you always hear me say, oh, I love this song. This is the song. But I always had the volume lower than you guys could hear for some reason. Okay, I'm gonna Control Shift D, which will nope, do not duplicate all that. Control Shift D, which will duplicate my subtools. Pop that around. Now I'm gonna edit this down a little bit. Yeah, not a problem. Best part about ZBrush, and I tell a lot of people this, is that it really is very customizable, where you can just kind of find the best way that works for you. For me, I would probably approach it as nano mesh first, and then try different things depending on what I felt needed to be used. I've even done the control drag method overall because, oh, that will be better. Just kind of how I think. It's actually what you're seeing me do now. Control drag it, in there, find a spot, back here. Getting the rest of this hair blocked out. Oh yeah. Yeah, not a problem, absolutely. Yeah, I love synthwave. Right here, what I'm going to do is actually grab the Z modeler. I'm going to start adding the creases that I think go well. There. There, I'll put one there too, why not? Gives it a little bit better of a look. So here's a good example of like turning on backface mask. I want to thicken this hair particle out so I can just start moving the side and not pull everything else with it. Don't even have to mask it at that point. And here, turn topological back on, and now I can pull that up. Yeah, I need a lot of shortcuts when ZBrush in ZBrush when I model a character. It took me a while. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, little shortcuts like that are going to help you out a lot. Did you know how to create a nano mesh? Were you asking specifically if that's the method you should use and that you're familiar with it, or have you not used it before? Backface. Oh yeah, you know how to use. Okay, cool. All right. Figure since we were on the topic, I'd just ask. All right. So what's really cool now is now I can do auto groups here, and then I can come through here at this point, start, you know, editing each hair as I walk. Make it just a little unique and a little different. The back of his head isn't going to be seen relatively that much, so we can kind of, you know, fill it in a little bit, make it work. Here, we're going to go ahead and split hidden. Cool tools, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull this hair, like this little hair hat, down and around. Okay, so and then when we go to clean that up, we'll just make sure that it looks nice. We have individual hairs that we can comb and kind of make that our own. But for now, that will be decent. So let's go ahead and save that. Oh, you never use the ray mesh. A ray mesh may not be the best application for that, but I can show you real quick the power of a ray mesh, which is really, really cool. I'm going to go ahead and take this star, go ahead and make Polymesh 3D. You think a ray mesh is mostly for creating flowers? I actually use it a lot for, I've had the opportunity to design a lot of elements for flat surfaces. So I use it, for example, let's take a cylinder here. Let's say you want to make a coin. So, and you want to make a nice little, like, you know, radial star pattern for your coin, because why not? So I'm going to go ahead and go to edge loop and delete loops. I'm going to turn this around like such. Now, a lot of people use array mesh for coins. This is true. I mean, I'm sorry, not for coins. Array mesh for flowers, but, you know. We'll auto group and group by normals, and then we'll crease polygroups. We have a nice clean sphere, right? Let's say I want a star pattern that goes around this. So what I'll do is I'll come here. I'll copy the star pattern just for the sake of sakes. I'll paste that in there. There we go. I want to make this something that's going to populate around. So we'll go into array mesh and we'll turn on array mesh. And from here, we'll have transpose and lock position on. You don't want to lock size, but we'll have that on. And then we'll say, oh, we want to repeat this 13 times, right? Well, from here, then we have the choice to offset, scale, rotate, or pivot. And what's neat is if you solo this out and you start adjusting these sliders, you can start seeing all the different ways that you can populate this, right? And one of these in particular, if we go to rotate and I rotate this 360 degrees, then from here I scale this down. Then I move this out. Now I have my star pattern. I can scale this, rotate this however I want. If I send this home, I can just bring this, you know what I mean? Like bring this straight up. If I have a center point if I wanted to, and rotate that. So that it's right where I want. And let's say I want another set, okay? Then from there, you can go ahead and append new, which gives you a secondary layer. And then you can make even more from there. Bring this in. Do all sorts of fun stuff. So now you have 2 different transform layers that you can work with. And if you don't like it, you can completely back it up. But what's neat about array mesh is that you only have the one geometry and it's just projecting. It's only when you make mesh that now everything becomes the way it is. So I use this a lot when I have a lot of work like this, because you can just populate really, really quickly. What's also really cool about it, I'm going to back this up and we're going to do live Boolean. So I'm going to kind of say I want to cut this weird shape here. So with array mesh turned on, I can go ahead and down here, hit cut shape. Then we're going to break the internet by doing live Boolean, right? But it's still on array mesh. It's still projecting. So it's not real geometry yet. But because it's projecting, I don't have to worry about it taking up so much resource. So I can go ahead and make this however I want. I'll say this is the shape that I'm looking for. And it's editable on the fly. So you can really get some good snowflakes. There you go. This is how you make a snowflake ornament. Boom. Done. But yeah, so that would be a ray mesh. So once you're happy with it, then you go ahead and make mesh and call it a day. So, but yeah, a lot of people use it for flowers. But real quick demo for anybody who didn't know. And what's cool is you have all those sliders, pivot, offset, rotate. That stuff's really, really cool because you can make some really fun stuff. But that's why I was like, well, maybe not for for feathers. So I was like, probably getting it across may not be. I think Nano's your best bet. Okay. So there is Tanjiro's robe, mostly done. You know, as far as we're gonna have to do thickness. So what I'm probably gonna be doing, guys, is because we have the sculpt off coming. And then on top of it, I am taking Halloween off, spend time with my kids. I will get Nezuko's cloth completely to this level. So that way it looks more cohesive, because right now it's looking kind of like it's looking flat. So we need all those wrinkles. So I'll get that there off stream, but it's the same method, same thing, which will be all sorts of cool stuff. Awesome array mesh, yay! Demonstration reminded me of making a fan blade, right? Yeah, exactly. There's so many things you can do with array mesh. It's really, really cool. But we still got to build this belt the rest of the way. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So we got more stuff to do. But did anybody have any last minute questions before we wrap it up for the night? I'm getting hungry. Jeez, I can't even speak. You know what I'm saying. Are you gonna work with the your caters at the figure later? Probably not at the moment. Yeah, with a remesh you can make nice designs. Absolutely. Yeah, probably not at the moment. I want to get back to developing my keys and stuff for articulation. It's just not enough hours in the day. But I take questions as much as I can. But yeah, a lot of engineering goes into that stuff. But all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it just a couple minutes early because I'm super hungry, and me speaking just is me speaking and my stomach is gurgling. So my body's having an argument with itself. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate you guys. It's been awesome. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the process. Let's do real quick. Hey, real quick. Okay, hold on. I lost real quick. We're gonna do a little tidbit for the sculpt off. Maybe a way to start rendering your character real quick. How did I pose the character? I posed the character with mannequins. That's how I started this. So real quick, I want to show you guys something real fast, and that is radial overlay. I'm throwing this out there because I think a lot of people would benefit from it. Have a good one. We'll get, restore the UV. Bell, pepper, black, olives, and mushrooms are the key to good spaghetti. Yes. Okay, real quick here. Real quick, and then I'm going to bounce. Overlay, radial overlay. Check this guy out. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put on perspective real fast. When you guys go to render your models for the sculpt off, a really good thing that you may want to consider is playing with BPR filters. I'm going to pop this over here real quick. When you go to render your beautiful model with your basic, 2-point light setup, because that's what we love in the world. All right, we're going to turn on this light, do a little bit of a rim light, get a nice little fill light, like the sun's coming in front of his face, right? And we'll turn off Nezuko for now. Let's just keep it Tanjiro for now. Okay. So you go ahead, let's turn on Preview AO. you have this character here. Go to BPR filters. When you render, one thing to really keep in mind is once you have a decent render that you're really happy with, you turn on this very first one. Turn on the F1 by hitting this little dot. Then go to radial overlay. And you see here how it really kind of like darkens your character. Go ahead and turn on the floor. And then render one more time. That's going to really darken the background and put some focal points on your character. Then you can start adjusting like the height of this stuff, and you can get some really cool dynamic stuff really quick. You can open the radius a bit. You can really focus on getting the attention on your character. And then with a few other, like Sharpen, Orton, you can get some cool stuff really, really quickly, making it super dynamic. So by just turning on the floor and then turning on radial overlay with a couple other things, really just helps showcase it. And then, of course, too, don't forget to go under your shadows and adjust your shadows a little bit. That's always going to help out. But that's a really quick way to get your character in the limelight really, really quickly. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Just also remember too, like, I have this base here. Statue base. There we go. Now you can see a little bit different shadows, but just a really quick tip, something to play with, have fun with it. Did you use dynamics for your cloth? For some of my cloth, yes, but for a lot of it was hand sculpted. So that's cool. I just played with Demon Slayer game. It's fun. Nice, Jace. Okay, guys, that is it. I'm gonna go get some grub. You guys take it easy. Have a good one. Thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Bye, Ryan. Bye, Ryan. All right, guys. I will catch you. Next Sunday, I'm on the presentation board with Pixo doing some fun streamers challenge. Go check that out. Go to summit.pixologic.com for all that good stuff. Because next week is the summit, and I hope to see you guys there sculpting. I want to see every one of you. You can do it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Yep. Love you, brother. All right, guys. Take it easy.